So, I need a new controller. Why? My last one was damaged while I was at an event. Right before the Vermilion Gates LCQ, water spilled into my bag, water damaging my last controller. Now it did survive after I performed emergency surgery on it 10 minutes before a tournament, but I obviously don't want to rely on that controller surviving forever. So the question was, what controller do I go with next? Well, lucky for me, I have joined an esports team last winter and they helped me out in combination with a certain brand. So, now that I am part of Team Cryptic, I can announce that we are now sponsored by Fightbox. If you know me from offline events, you know that I have been a Leverless controller player for quite some time. I have switched to them at the end of 2021, and my first Leverless controller was a Fightbox B10, which you can see right here. I bought that controller with my own money, and I absolutely loved it. It had some minor shortcomings, it wasn't a perfect controller, but overall it was exactly what I needed at the time, and it did me well throughout quite a lot of tournaments. I got a new controller, but I didn't buy this one. In this box is the Fightbox B10-EX, which is the successor to the Fightbox B10 that I used in the past. I'm saying this for full transparency. I got this controller for free, but I was a satisfied Fightbox customer in the past. So, we open it up, and looks very nice out of the box. Some key differences are that the casing has completely changed. The Fightbox B10 case was kind of like a wooden casing, while the Fightbox B10 is kind of a mix between acrylic and plastic. Overall, the B10-EX feels much sturdier from the case. It's a little bit thicker, but overall it feels like they really upped the production quality on this one, which is nice to see. What is in this Fightbox B10 is a Brook P5 mini board, so it is PS5 compatible right out of the box for fighting games without me needing an adapter. That was an important point for me, because Brook adapters are cool and all, but I like having it all internal and you don't get the additional input lag that you get from a USB adapter. The default buttons that come with the controller are Cherry MX black switches with arcade-style button caps, and while I like these a lot, I am all for customizing my controller, so we're gonna swap these out. So while the default switches are nice, I did switch them out for Kale copper switches. The main difference between those that know what mechanical keyboard switches actually are is the default switches are linear, which means they activate on a half button press, while I like clicky and tag touch switches, which only activate on a full button press. I just personally prefer that. I think it makes the feedback a little bit easier, and yeah, I actually know what I'm pressing when I press those buttons down. So, what about this controller? Well, let's look at the final version of it after all the unboxing. This is what it looks like. After switching out all the internals, this is what I went with. These button caps are just cheap ones I got from AliExpress. I like the default button caps from Fightbox, however, I like the button caps to be a tiny bit smaller than the actual button holes, and for the buttons to be a little bit raised higher up. So, as you can see here, probably they are a bit higher up, which is just a personal preference of mine. However, default buttons, I can recommend them. I've used them for years. So what is special about this controller? It is a leverless controller, so you're not gonna see any arcade stick here. There is no D-pad. All these buttons are basically everything that you have on a standard controller. These are the directional buttons. This is left, down, right, and up. You got your standard face buttons with these four over here, the blue and pink ones. This is X, Y, A, and B for Xbox buttons, or square, triangle, X, and O for PlayStation buttons. Over here on the right, you got the shoulder buttons. You got L1 and R1, and L2 and R2, or for Xbox respectively, you got LB, RB, and you got LT, RT. So you have your standard buttons, but there's some additional ones here. What are those? You got a touchpad button on the left here. This is very good for fighting games when you want to reset in training mode. That's usually done with the touchpad button on PlayStation. So quick resets on Street Fighter, quick resets on Tekken. Very nice and easy with this one, makes landing very comfortable. I don't like that a lot of controllers, specifically arcade controllers, put the reset buttons like on the side. I understand that it's to avoid accidental button presses, but it makes resetting very annoying because, you know, I'll be doing my combos and then I have to go like, do my combos, go to the side. That's one thing that I personally really dislike about arcade designs, so it's very good to have this within reach. Even though you can't bind this as an attack button in most fighting games, it's still very nice to have. You got the L3 and R3 buttons out of the way here. At the top, the black buttons are basically my special additional buttons. These buttons simulate the press that you get when you press in the left stick and the right stick. In the top left over here, you got some additional menu buttons in case you need to change your controller mode, in case you play a fighting game with different SOCD rules, or if you just need, you know, your start and options button, whatever it may be. What is the options button called on Xbox? I have no idea, but yeah. So let's show how the controller looks like in game. Alright, we're gonna see how the controller performs in-game with a little hand cam so you can see the controller in action. And while I play, I will just give you my quick thoughts on the controller. While this is a sponsored showcase of me like showing the controller, I got it provided by Fightbox. This is still my own personal opinion and my personal little review of the controller. But yeah, one thing that I think was very nice that you could see earlier in the video is the customizability of the controller. It is one that is very easy to open up and modify. If you just want to swap out your buttons, you can do that without opening up the controller, which is a big advantage of these keyboard-style leverless controllers. And you can basically swap out your parts without any like big amount of tools. One thing that you will probably need is a keyboard switch puller, but if you buy new mechanical keyboard switches, they are usually provided with your with the buttons that you're buying. But the button caps and so on, you can just remove either with your fingers, or if you're having issues, you can use any sort of flat prying object, like, you know, a credit card, something like that. What you saw me use earlier in the video was from the iFixit electronics kit, which has these like little basically guitar tabs that you can use to pry things open. Removing the buttons with that, very easy. But if you want to swap out any of the internals, like you know, you want to change the board that is inside the controller, stuff like that, it's just 6 screws on the back, also quite comfortable. But yeah, when it comes to the button placement, that's also a big topic for me. The button placement feels very good on my hands. Feels very intuitive. It's the classic layout. The additional buttons are also well placed. They are easy enough to access without being, you know, in the way. The thing that I had with other leverless controllers in the past is that, especially like these additional buttons that you see down here, you know, my black colored button, that they are placed in a way where I accidentally hit them with my right palm. Nice. But on this one, very much not an issue. It's very comfortable on my right thumb. Same with the left one. The left one, slightly bit more out of the way, but since this is the touchpad button on PlayStation, this is not one you want to be hitting on accident anyways. And this one, I think this one is the R3 button, this one is L3, I'm quite sure. This one also well placed, very good as an additional button for when you need it. For example, I use a lot of macros for Tekken, so like button shortcuts, basically, the official ones. If you're a Street Fighter player, for example, I can imagine this being quite good for drive rush and drive impact buttons. But yeah, the new meta is that you have more buttons on your controller, so it's very nice that they are provided here. They also have alternative layouts with extra buttons if that one's not quite for you. And also, if that is your thing, Fightbox also does custom requests of controllers for quite an affordable price, in my opinion. I didn't go for custom controller because the standard ones are very much fitting my needs. But I had a friend who had a fully customized keyboard-style leverless controller in the sense of like the actual button caps are also keyboard caps. In the most cursed layout you can imagine. And they'll just do that for you. And there we go. But yeah, outside of that, another talking point is the controller size. I feel like this is a very good medium size, so for the people that are like really small controllers, maybe this one isn't quite for you. But if you like medium to larger leverless controllers, if that's what you're comfortable with, I think this one is a very good option. It's just a good, like, medium. Hold on, let me lock in. Nice, good launch. Oh, I'm dead. Nice. Right, but that's how the controller looks like in a real game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys want to get the controller or any other Fightbox controller, there's a discount code on screen right here. This is the discount code from my esports team Cryptic, so if you use that one, the team gets a little bit of kickback, which means I also get a little bit of kickback. So if you want to support me and you need a new controller, this is a good way to get both. And if you don't get a new controller, then I just appreciate you watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little showcase, and I'll see you around next time.